Astral Ascent is the second indie title coming from the developers Hibernian Workshop, with their first title being Dark Devotion, which is a game that we're going to be checking out dangerously soon. Shout out to the public gamers because Astral Ascent was crowdfunded via Kickstarter and was able to raise their goal of 300,000 euros, which is equivalent to $34,690. According to the Kickstarter, this was accomplished in just 36 hours. Maple Whispering and Limited Run Games will come in and serve as the game publishers as well. Maple Whispering published quite a few titles, some of which are familiar to us, but we'll get around to playing and reviewing those. Titles like Cloudpunk, and One Step from Eden. Limited Run Games, on the other hand, is an infamous entity whose specialty lies within the distribution of games, and also, if not more interestingly enough, they create and reserve games via moving away from the digital form and creating hard physical copies of games for gamers to collect. At the moment, Hibernian Workshop is working on their third game entitled Fallen Fates. From what we have seen so far, it looks like the developers are taking what they have mastered and just, well, taking it to the next level. The action looks amazing and the visuals looks as if it's within the same vein as the game that we'll be reviewing today. Speaking of that, I'll be rocking out with the PlayStation version, so let's get into it. The story of Astral Ascent is essentially about these warriors who are trying to liberate the remains of various worlds from the tyrannical grip of a person who goes by the name of the Master. This guy has a very insatiable hunger for conquest and dominating worlds as a way of expanding his rule, and probably just for fun. If creatures don't bow down to him, he just simply destroys them. For whatever reason, he's found a way to collect chunks of various worlds with some of their inhabitants still intact, and then trap them within inside pocket dimensions, which according to this game are called prisons. To serve as wardens for these various prisons, he has selected a group of strong and deadly warriors known as the Zodiacs to keep things in check on the Master's behalf. Each of them, of course, are the representation and personifications of the 12 Western astrological zodiac signs, which are Cancer, Gemini, Leo, Sagittarius, Aries, Libra, Pisces, Scorpio, Aquarius, Virgo, Capricorn, and Taurus. Initially, in the beginning of the game, the player is introduced to their first character, who goes by the name of Isla, who utilizes this ability to escape to different prisons to do battle against the Zodiacs. But the player will soon come to discover that she is not alone in this endeavor. Accompanying her are other warriors as well, and some friends that will help aid in the warrior's journey. So with attempt after attempt, these warriors must battle again and again until inevitably they defeat the Zodiac guards and the Master. Astral Ascent looks beautiful. The pixel art, vibrant colors, movement of characters, environments, everything just looks beautiful and shows that there was an unbelievable amount of love within crafting this game. Let's talk about the character designs. Each of the 12 Zodiacs look unique and embodies characteristics and appearance that properly depicts the Zodiac's description, such as their respective elemental representation. For example, Aries is the Zodiac that has the element of fire, so in this game, to keep up with the consistency, he is depicted as a hot-headed battle maniac who utilizes brute force and, of course, fire. Speaking of the character designs, I love the cinematic intro cutscenes that presents the characters to the player, hyping up the inevitable battle. Next, I want to talk about the majestic and level of detail within the various environments. And yeah, I know I just keep saying it, but look at it, it looks beautiful. I can't forget the first moments I arrived at the hub world. I definitely needed time to take in the surroundings. The lighting coming from the illuminating rays from what I would believe to be this world's sun, the small wind emulating the constant gust of winds, the unique characters that look like it came out of a children's book, some human and some, well, anthropomorphic I guess you could say. And as I said before, how smooth the character that you play as move around. Alexandria is the name of the person responsible for this pixel masterpiece and serves as the art director and animator over there at Hibernian Workshop. Another artist that goes by the name of Boel Orino is the person that created and illustrated the character concepts, which you pretty much see throughout the promotion and character bios. He is pretty awesome and definitely has a unique style. You can check him out in some of his works. I'll provide links in the description where you can go and follow and see for yourself. But to put it plain and simple, this game is beautiful. Astral Ascent is a roguelike game which the main goal for the player is to reach and destroy the master, but to get to him is going to be a challenging task. Luckily, there are things that are in place that will help you on your journey. But first, let's start off with the basics, which is essentially how you will be able to defend yourself from the enemies and pretty much stay alive during each run. There are multiple characters that you can pick from, and some of them that you can unlock, but they all follow this similar blueprint with their own very unique way of doing things. So let's start off with the movement. Every character has the ability to move right or left across this 2D plane by either walking or doing a quick dash. You can also become airborne by jumping and also doing a double jump. When traversing in different environments, the player can also utilize such knowledge in combination to get around better. For example, one can use the dash button while airborne to get more distance, and even use it as a way to attack an opponent if there's an enemy right up under you, pretty much allowing the player to pounce on them with the force of gravity. And while we're talking about attacking enemies, the player has a variety of methods to defeat their opponents. The first are the normal attacks, which often consist of a simple 3 to 4 hit combo, but if you really want to know what's the bread and butter to the combat aspect of Astral Ascent, well, they're pretty much all the spells. There are so many spells that one may think to be endless. Each of them provides their very own type of attacks and brings more versatility into defending yourself from the various opponents that you may come across. Unfortunately, the player only has a limited number of spells that he or she can carry with them. However, they can be replaced if you come across a new one that you probably may have taken a liking to. So the question may be, why would I want to replace a spell? Well, there are factors that the player may want to take note of, one of them being the level of the spell. Each spell possesses their own tier or level, if you will, and comes with their own affinity, which simply means elemental attributes. These attributes include ice, lightning, poison, and so on. Each under circumstances can cause more damage, such as ice being able to freeze your opponents, fire burning them to a crisp, and poison, well, you get the point. But be mindful that when you use a spell, the order of spells that you possess automatically cycles to the next that will be in the order of use. It's kind of like the bullet chamber inside of a revolver. These elemental attributes can be changed or enhanced when you pick up something called imprints. But it isn't just that. Things get a little bit more complicated because there are things called gambits. Gambits are like the passive subsection of spells and adds even more passive attributes to your spell, such as increasing their damage, increasing the chances of additional status elements for your opponents when struck with the spell, and a lot of more other goodies. You can actually tell which are more powerful or of higher tier within the color of their aura you see when they're presented to you. Speaking of auras, you actually have these things called auras that pretty much give you passive benefits that will buff you and aid you, but also wreak havoc upon your enemies by increasing your attack, defense, and other goodies. And lastly, when it comes to spells, please pay attention to your magic meter located up at the top right below your health bar. You have to be careful, especially when your magic runs out. When that happens, you can replenish your magic meter whenever you land a physical attack on your enemy. So whenever you see that you can't cast a spell, it'll be best to go on the offensive side and start punching and kicking to get that magic meter up, because your physical attacks alone may not be what will deliver you a victory, especially when you get up on the tougher bosses. So far, we have talked about physical attacks and spells as a means of defending yourself, but there are two other abilities that you gotta be aware of. Those consist of your special abilities that are only exclusive to the characters that you're playing as, and also summoners that come in the form of echoes and the zodiac warriors you actually fight against. When it comes down to special abilities, every warrior has their own that revolves around their playstyle of that individual fighter. For example, Isla has a technique where she can vanish behind the target automatically and strike. This is befitting because her fighting style is that of an assassin, whilst my favorite character, Karen, if timed correctly, can parry an attack and retaliate with a devastating blow. This is befitting because hand-to-hand combat is his thing. I will talk more about him in a little bit. Now, whereas Isla and Karen involve in close quarters combat, the other two warriors utilize long-range combat by means of being objects that serve as projectiles. Callie utilizes these magical stones that she can send out and of course attack enemies, and Octaves has firearms that he uses to fire shots at his foes. Now, there is a fifth character known as Yamat that came out during the Brief Traveler DLC, and she is a perfect blend between close and long distance combat. She can be a powerhouse, and for those who don't know, the name Yamat is usually associated with dragon mythos. The last two things I want to talk about are echoes and summonings. Echoes will call upon an ally who will make their brief cameos while supporting you in many ways, from attacking your enemies with a powerful attack, one-shot and mark enemies, attacking powerful opponents before the battle begins, or even bringing you back from the brink of death. Echoes definitely come in handy, and you can have multiple echoes at once ready to go that can cause some serious mayhem. You will be able to find these in Pacific rooms. There you will have your choice of many. Next, I want to talk about summonings. After facing off against the Zodiac Warriors, oftentimes they may appear again to you in the form of these doors, or sometimes just sitting casually outside where you can spot them on your runs. If you approach them, they will give the player different challenges that, if successful, will grant you the ability to call upon them and their power during battle. The only requirement of the player is to fill this magic meter, which will be located on the side of the screen. The more you utilize magic and defeat enemies, the more this gets filled up, and once it's filled, go nuts. Now, let's talk about how things will look when traversing across the different domains, aka prisons. When you begin your runs, you are granted with a number of spells at random to start you off, along with some additional bonus enhancements to your character. Then you are presented with different routes that you can take to inevitably get to the boss at the end of that level. You see, each level or stage is separated into a series of small subsessions that will give you a heads up on what type of segment or room you're about to enter, and also what type of reward that you can expect to earn if you are able to complete that room. At the very end of each segment, you will come across these options to pick from. I'll break down each of these, starting with the fighting room. This room is self-explanatory. You will enter a gauntlet of fights of various enemies that comes in waves. Next is the exploration room. This room allows the player to roam about in a more open and friendly environment. The benefits that comes from these rooms are the increased chances of obtaining healing stones, better spells, and even gambits. Next are these, what I like to call random rooms. These rooms provide a variety of spells, gambits, and other goodies that can heal you and provide buffs. I don't want to spoil them all for you because I kind of want you to check them out for yourself, but there's a whole lot of them. Next, I want to talk about the void rooms. These rooms, I believe, was made available when Update 2.0 became available. These rooms will allow the player to go up against these various mini-bosses. If you can defeat them, they usually provide helpful buffs. Next is the Andromeda Bar. This room will always be the one that comes before the boss. Here, if you have enough stars or quartz, you can buy drinks and boost your attack, defense, health, and even magic. If at the time you do have a Zodiac summoning, you can summon that person out for somebody else. You can do this by going inside Andromeda's bar, and they'll be chilling out right there, just, lounging around. And if you have enough tinder, you can actually swap out your spells for probably better ones. Last but certainly not least is the boss room. This is where the player will be facing off one of the Zodiacs. Defeat it and you'll progress to the next level with its own theme of rooms. Whenever the player decides to pick which room to enter, you'll always see these small markings. One that looks red or pinkish, pretty much all these stones which go by the name of quartz, keys, imprints, auras, and of course this sign meaning gambits. While I'm talking about quartz are tenders that can be used to purchase spells and power-ups. These keys that you can obtain will be used to unlock altars stationed primarily within exploration rooms. These altars can help enhance your attack power, magic, and health at the cost of the keys that it asks for. You'll also be able to find these ghostly things floating about. This isn't a tender or anything, but it is used to unlock stories of characters that you can go and check out for yourself when you get back to the hub. Just look for this big fox that looks like it's having a storytime session. The next type of tender are these stars. You can get these automatically whenever you're exiting a zone via a portal. At the end of each run, whether you succeed or fail, all of your progress, including the enemies destroyed, keys, stars, quartz, and everything else will be taken into account so that the player will obtain something called sun pieces. This is what the player will need in order to purchase permanent upgrades for your character, which will carry over into the next runs. You will only be able to get these upgrades back at the hub world. Now, before doing your runs, the player has a hub area where some of your allies will be stationed at. Here you have multiple vendors where you can obtain new spells and obtain permanent buffs to better your run. Also here, you can obtain new colors for clothing to customize your characters with tickets that you will find on your runs. You will also be able to select characters that you will want to play as, learn about characters, watch character cinematic introductions, select a randomized daily added on benefit that lasts for 24 hours, obtain more sun pieces for fulfilling a checklist of things to do during your runs and other things. And by saying those other things, I'm referring to things that are unlocked after defeating the master once. Now if you're watching this review before or during your early runs of Astral Ascent, you probably have gotten to the master and thought that he is impossible to beat due to the fact that whenever you drop his health down to 0, he will still defeat you by default. Believe me when I say that this is all a part of the story, so stop worrying. Even though it appears that you lost, you actually won. Afterwards, you are introduced to Destiny Fragments, which you can accumulate by upping the difficulty of runs. If you continually do this, you will be able to unlock various weapons for each character that can change the playstyle and even more advantages for your runs. Side note, there is a DLC that was released entitled The Dead Cells Rendezvous, which has the main character from that game called the Prisoner, which is so befitting considering the places that he has to fight through, serving somewhat as a skin and also the last weapon that you have to unlock given the various requirements. If you will want to defeat the master, you'll have to defeat him on a higher level of difficulty. You can continue to do this to your heart's content to make yourself a god in Astral Ascent with more runs you do. It's not mandatory, but you can do them. I mean, there are only like 99 levels with the next being more challenging than the last. So, have fun. Now that I got the tutorial and gameplay mechanics out of the way, now I can talk about my experience with the gameplay. First off, I can honestly say that this game is awesome and can be challenging. As a roguelike, death is to be expected and something that you can go stronger from considering the resources that you accumulate during each run. Knowing the type of skills, what they can do, and becoming knowledgeable of builds you can have for your character will only improve your chances for defeating the master. In the beginning, I suck. But my favorite character I found myself being fond of is Karen. His parry and counter in my eyes is undefeated. He can parry any attack, and given a lot of situations and circumstances I find myself in, it was definitely clutch. Those situations that I'm referring to is whenever I get to a Zodiac warrior or a boss and believe I'm about to defeat them, all of a sudden they bust out these most ridiculous techniques, combos, and spells, and for whatever reason start to move so frantically across the stage at such a speed it's hard to hit them, especially before they continue their assault. Sometimes it gets so chaotic to the point where it would be nothing but various multicolored pixel particles flooding your screen, with you as the player getting lost in all of the commotion. Also, when I played Astral Ascent, I thought that the levels would be never ending. The first level or series of rooms of that section aren't easy, but as I continued, enemies became more varied, seemed to have more health, possessed different attack patterns, and hit harder. By the time I got to the 4th level, I was desperate to find any type of way of healing my character because I was losing health, and fast. Another fun fact, there are only 4 levels that you have to battle through before you fight the master, so in total you only have to fight 4 Zodiacs and then the master. Also, for those who may have difficulty getting through the game, there is something called resilience modes which you can turn on. This would decrease the damage done by enemies every time you fail a run, and thus giving you a more of a fighting chance to be victorious. But overall, is this game fun? Yes, especially due to the fact that Astral Ascent has local or rather couch co-op so you can play with a friend. This game sounds great. The different chimes and impacts of spells and physical attacks can be heard and felt. In addition, the voice actors of the characters provide so much personality within the dialogues.
Girl, I don't know if you're bold or reckless.
What she means is, you're in the right place. Come with us.
Thank you.
From the playfulness and jokingly manner to the most over-the-top seriousness and sometimes cheesiness from opponents.
Stop right there. I, Leo, order you to turn around.
So you should know I'm not really into following orders, so let me through.
Over my dead body, then.
Okay, I follow some orders.
Big ups to the voice actors because this is definitely a game that if these people did not sound interesting at all, man, I probably would have went to sleep or even turned the game off. I mean, they didn't have to include voice acting, but I'm happy that they did, and they did an outstanding job at that. So again, big ups to the voice actors for not making these characters sound like cardboard and giving each individual their own unique and authentic personality. But anyway, during battles, the sounds of your opponents can cue the player on what move is about to be performed, so use that to your advantage. One last thing that I have to mention are the sounds of nature, which is so emphasized when you're just chilling out or just shooting a breeze. You'll hear the birds chirping, winds going, and of course, when you get into battles and start performing spells, things will sound like you just got hit by a truck as to how impactful these things sound. Overall, the sound quality of this game is nothing but top notch with the booming bass underlined. The music for Astral Ascent was done by Del North, the music composer and instrumentalist who has done works for other indie titles like Wizard of Legend and Sparklight to name a few. In Astral Ascent, Mr. North provides some of the most beautiful and grandiose offerings to the ear. effectively setting the atmosphere and marriage with the visuals the player will explore. All of this is expressed the moment you boot up the game. The forever soft, gentle, and yet bold sounds coming from the string instruments, along with the movement of such melodies, sounds like something that will come from a fairy tale or a beloved Disney cartoon. All of this can be heard just in the first few moments of the game and original soundtrack, but just like the OST as the player progresses through the game, the music diversifies itself in providing moments where the tempo is sped up with more percussions added to it just to insinuate the feeling of unease and urgency. This is for the moments where more than likely a battle is going to be taking place. This can be heard within the tracks that possess the name Fragment Plains, Red Barrens, Cora Archipelago, and Crimson Heights, which are actually the names of the main 4 prisons the character will be working their way through, along with the battle against the Master, of course. One of my favorite songs within the game comes from whenever I reach Andromeda's bar. The loud and elegant piano just makes it seem like a nice sunny day.
No more pain.
Good to see you.
But overall, the music is awesome. I'll provide links as always where you can give the OST a listening for yourself, and where you can follow Dave Nord via his socials. All of this will be in the description below.
I mean it.
This game is phenomenal to say the least. The gameplay is addictive and very easy to understand. The visuals are so detailed and astonishing that, well, within the environments and movement, color, and everything you see, it's pretty much crafted with so much care and consideration. The music is lavish and awesome, and not to mention that the fun factor warrants high replayability. I would recommend this game to anybody that loves a challenge, roguelites, and wants to feed their appetite of battling against monsters. Astral Ascent is now available for PlayStation 4 and 5, Nintendo Switch, GOG, and Steam for Mac and PC for only about $25. If you want the full experience, we recommend you to also purchase the 2 DLCs. The first DLC being the Outer Reaches, which adds new worlds, enemies, and will give you an opportunity to face off against Andromeda herself, and have her as a summoning if you can survive her. She is probably the most powerful out of all summoners because she gets the one-shot opponents. And also the second DLC entitled The Breach Traveler, which lets you play as Yamat. Links will be in the description below, so you can go ahead and buy a copy if you want. Fun fact, an update was released called the Burson's Reinforcement, and for those who don't know who the Bursons are, they are a family of warriors that comes from the indie game Children of Mortar. We did a review of this game that you can check out on your spare time. Link will be in the description. What we enjoy and really appreciate is how each family member was translated well from that game into Astral Ascent. Here, the Bursons are pretty much just serving as extra echoes that you can obtain, each bringing their own signature moves and techniques. We love it when indie titles collaborate with each other, and this will be the second time that this happens with Astral Ascent. So, kudos. Just wanted to say that. And until next time, peace y'all.
And don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit up that notification bell, and I gotta go.